Esteemed Lord Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, the vibrant youth gathered here together. In a world that often seems clouded by grim news, conflict, climate change, and hate speech, your presence here is a beacon of hope and resilience. It's not easy being young in such times, where challenges seem to loom large at every turn. But we cannot overlook the dark chapters of history, like the tragic events that happened in Rwanda, a country where I am right now. 30 years ago, dreams were shattered, lives were lost, and the whole country turned upside down by hate speech. What has been remarkable for me has been to see how the human spirit, when we come together, we can recover from these dark chapters of history. But let me remind you, it's also a fantastic time to be young and to be alive. We stand at a crossroads of history where our actions can significantly shape the future. But for this to happen, we must remember two things: curiosity and purpose. Cambridge, where you are right now, and the home of the Lisha Foundation, is a testament to how curiosity can shape this world. When I first moved to Cambridge, I was struck by how many apples I saw growing in the wild. As a young man coming from Africa, this was remarkable. In Africa, apples grow in orchards. But in Cambridge, they grow everywhere. So ubiquitous are these apples that they have found themselves in history and myth. History has it that a young Isaac Newton was one day sleeping in the beautiful gardens of Cambridge when he was hit upon by an apple on the head. He was so annoyed by this that he asked the question, why did this apple fall this way to the ground and not that way up to the sky? A ridiculous question indeed, but one that is responsible for what we know today about gravitational physics, and perhaps making it possible for this recording to happen today. Everyone in Cambridge could see an apple fall to the ground, but it was a 23-year-old curious Isaac Newton who dared to ask what would have been an ordinary question, or even ridiculous, but something that resulted in the extraordinary. So I encourage you, the world is not the status quo. Be curious about the world around you, because you have the power in you to change what you see around you, as long as you maintain your curiosity. However, curiosity alone isn't enough. We need purpose, driven by kindness and empathy. The challenges we have today, from hate speech, climate change, wars, require us to not just be innovative, but to innovate with a purpose and to uplift and support the lives of our fellow community members. We must stand against the forces that allow suffering and divisions, and instead work towards creating a world where empathy and kindness prevails. When I first landed in Cambridge, it was just about a year, one of my colleagues asked me, so what is the major difference that you see between the countries in Africa where you're coming from and what you have experienced here in the UK? My answer, perhaps oversimplified at that time, was in Africa, our political and economic geography is broken. and needs fixing. In the Western world, your political and economic geography seems to be working relatively well for most people. But the one area where Africa still has its game sorted is in our social geography. How much we value the social relationships that bring us together. And I hope that also the Western world can learn from Africa how we have preserved the social connections that make us human. Because after all, we are all trying to find our way home. And it is up to you as young people to help us do that. Lisha, whose memory we are honoring today and after whom the Lisha Foundation is named, was one young man who recognized that we should be empathetic and kind at all times, because it is always possible. So to all of you here, continue to be curious. Find your purpose. You are already making a difference, as shown by your gathering here today. Keep pushing forward, keep dreaming, and keep acting. Although Lisha is not with us today, his spirit lives on in each and every one of you, driving you to take his dream further, to build a world that is kinder, more empathetic, and infinitely curious. Have a pleasant afternoon.